Creatine gives me diarrhea. How do people even take 20 grams without exploding? Not exactly the kind of personal record I was aiming for in the gym. But here's the thing. Creatine is one of the most studied, most effective, and safest supplements on the planet. So why does taking 20 grams in one shot feel like strapping a jet engine to your intestines? That is what we are going to break down today. We are going to cover what creatine actually is, how it works in your body, why people even attempt to load 20 grams a day, the truth about side effects, and most importantly, how to take creatine without turning every workout into a sprint to the bathroom. By the end, you'll know the real science, you'll know the myths, and you'll have the practical fixes that let you get all the strength and muscle benefits without the bathroom drama. Let's get into it. What is creatine? Creatine is not some mysterious chemical powder. It is a natural compound your body already makes every single day from amino acids like arginine, glycine, and methionine. Most of it is produced in the liver and kidneys, then delivered to your muscles and brain. You also get a gram or two from foods like red meat and fish, but even with a good diet, your muscles are usually only 70 to 80% full. Around 95% of the creatine in your body is stored inside your skeletal muscle, and it acts as a reserve energy system. When you are lifting heavy, sprinting, or doing anything explosive, your body burns through ATP, the main energy molecule, in seconds. Creatine is stored as phosphocreatine, which can quickly donate a phosphate to rebuild ATP and keep you going for a few more reps or a few more seconds. The more creatine you have stored, the more of these instant recharges your muscles can access. That is why supplementing creatine consistently shows improvements in strength and power. On average, athletes see about a 5 to 15% bump in performance during short, high-intensity efforts. It may not sound dramatic, but across weeks of training, that extra edge translates into bigger lifts, more volume, and more muscle growth. It is not only your muscles that benefit. Your brain also relies on ATP, and research shows creatine may reduce mental fatigue and improve memory under stress. Scientists are even studying it for conditions like depression, Parkinson's disease, and aging. So in simple terms, creatine is like a portable charger for your body's energy system. Supplementing it does not give you something unnatural. It just fills the tank to 100% so you can perform at your peak more often. Types of creatine. When you walk into a supplement store, it can feel like creatine comes in every flavor under the sun. Monohydrate, hydrochloride, buffered, ethyl ester, even liquid versions that promise magic absorption. The truth is simpler than the marketing. Creatine monohydrate is the original and still the gold standard. Almost every scientific study that proved creatine's benefits was done with monohydrate. It is effective, safe, and inexpensive. If you hear that creatine builds strength, muscle, or power, that evidence almost certainly came from the monohydrate form. Some companies push alternatives. Creatine hydrochloride dissolves easily in water and can be taken in smaller doses. Some people who feel bloated on monohydrate say HCl sits better, but there is no solid proof it works better inside the muscle. Buffered creatine claims to reduce stomach upset, but research shows no difference in results compared to regular monohydrate. Ethyl ester was marketed as the next generation of creatine, but studies found it actually raised muscle creatine levels less than monohydrate. Liquid creatine sounds convenient, but it breaks down quickly in solution and loses its potency before it even reaches you. In the end, monohydrate remains the form to trust. The other versions are mostly marketing angles with little evidence they provide extra benefit. If you want the proven effect for the lowest cost, stick to creatine monohydrate. If your stomach is sensitive, you can try hydrochloride or a micronized version of monohydrate, but for almost everyone, the classic white powder works best. Benefits of creatine. The reason creatine has become one of the most popular supplements in the world is because it actually works, and the benefits are supported by decades of solid research. The first and most obvious benefit is increased strength and power. With fuller creatine stores, your muscles regenerate energy faster, which lets you push a little harder on heavy lifts, sprints, and explosive movements. That extra rep or extra 10 pounds may not sound dramatic in the moment, but over weeks of training it compounds into real progress. The second major benefit is muscle growth. Part of this comes from training harder, but creatine also draws water into the muscle cells, making them look fuller and triggering growth signals. In the short term, you may notice the scale jump a couple of pounds from water retention inside the muscle, but in the long run, creatine users typically build more lean mass than those who do not supplement. Creatine also helps with recovery. Research shows lower levels of muscle cell damage and inflammation after hard workouts in people who use it. Athletes on creatine tend to tolerate higher training volumes, miss fewer sessions, and even report fewer injuries and cramps. The old myth that creatine dehydrates you has been flipped on its head. In reality, by hydrating the cells, creatine can actually reduce the risk of heat stress and muscle cramps. And then there are the benefits beyond the gym. Your brain relies on creatine just like your muscles do. Studies show creatine can reduce mental fatigue and improve short-term memory, especially when you are under stress or sleep-deprived. Researchers are exploring its role in neurological conditions, aging, and even depression. The evidence is still developing, but it highlights that creatine is not just a muscle supplement. It is a fundamental energy support system for your body. When you put all of this together, creatine becomes more than just another powder on the shelf. It is one of the rare supplements that consistently delivers measurable improvements in strength, size, performance, and possibly even mental resilience. How to take creatine. Now that you know what creatine does, the obvious question is how to actually take it. The good news is that it is simple, but there are a couple of approaches. One method is called loading. That means taking around 20 grams a day for 5 to 7 days, split into small servings throughout the day. The point of loading is to fill your muscle stores quickly, usually within a week. After that, you drop down to a maintenance dose of about 3 to 5 grams a day. The other method is the slow and steady approach. Instead of loading, you just start with 3 to 5 grams a day from the beginning. It takes about 3 to 4 weeks to reach full saturation this way, but the end result is exactly the same. If you are patient, this method avoids the high doses that can upset your stomach. The key is consistency. Creatine does not work like caffeine where you feel a jolt right after drinking it. It works by building up in your muscles over time. That means it does not matter much whether you take it in the morning, after your workout, or before bed. What matters is that you take it every day. It also helps to dissolve creatine fully in water or mix it into a shake. Warm liquids work better than cold for getting it to dissolve. Take it with food or a carb source if you want to maximize uptake, and always drink enough water during the day to stay hydrated. You may hear people talk about cycling creatine on and off, but research shows there is no need. Long-term use has been studied for years without safety issues in healthy people. The only time you would stop is if you are cutting water weight for a competition, or if a doctor tells you otherwise. So the formula is simple. Take 3 to 5 grams a day, mix it well, stay consistent, and you will keep your muscles saturated without worrying about timing or fancy rituals. Side effects and safety. Creatine has one of the best safety records of any supplement in the world. It has been studied for decades in athletes, children, and even older adults, and no serious health risks have been linked to normal use in healthy people. But like anything, there are side effects that can show up, especially if you take it the wrong way. The most obvious one is weight gain. When you first start taking creatine, your muscles pull in water along with the creatine. This can add a couple of pounds to the scale in the first week. Some people panic and think they are gaining fat, but it is just water weight inside the muscle. In the long run, creatine users do gain more weight than non-users, but that is because they build more lean muscle mass. Then there is the stomach issue. Creatine itself is not toxic, but if you dump a huge serving into your gut all at once, it can overwhelm your digestive system. Creatine is osmotically active, which means it draws water into the intestines. Too much at once and you end up with cramps, bloating, or diarrhea. This is why loading phases are always split into smaller servings. Studies show that when athletes take 10 grams in one gulp, more than half of them report diarrhea. When the same total dose is divided into smaller servings, the problem almost disappears. Beyond that, myths about creatine causing kidney damage or dehydration have been thoroughly debunked. The confusion comes from the fact that creatinine, the breakdown product of creatine, is used as a marker in kidney function tests. Taking creatine raises creatinine levels in the blood, but that is not kidney damage. It is just your body processing more creatine. In healthy people, long-term use at normal doses has not been shown to harm the kidneys or the liver. The only people who need to be cautious are those with existing kidney disease or other medical conditions, and they should always check with a doctor first. For everyone else, creatine is considered safe for continuous use. So the real side effect to look out for is stomach upset, and the fix is simple. Keep servings around 3 to 5 grams, dissolve it fully, and spread out larger doses. Do that, and creatine is one of the safest and most effective supplements you can take. Why creatine gives you diarrhea and how to avoid it. Creatine itself is not the enemy. The real issue is dosage. When you swallow a massive scoop, your gut cannot absorb it all at once. The leftover creatine sits in your intestines, pulls water in through osmosis, and that sudden flood of water triggers cramps, bloating, and diarrhea. Studies show that when athletes take 10 grams in one serving, more than half report diarrhea. When the same total dose is split into smaller servings, the complaints almost disappear. The solution is simple. Keep each serving to about 3 to 5 grams, dissolve it fully in a good amount of water, and spread bigger doses across the day. Warm liquids help it dissolve, and taking it with food slows digestion and makes it gentler. Staying hydrated through the day also matters, because creatine pulls water into your muscles. If you do all of that and still get an upset stomach, you can try a micronized monohydrate that dissolves better, or creatine hydrochloride, which is taken in smaller servings. But for most people, the key is just patience and portion control. Respect the 3 to 5 gram serving size, and creatine will fuel your muscles, not send you sprinting to the bathroom. Section 8. What not to mix with creatine. Another reason people blame creatine for stomach problems is what they take it with. Coffee or large doses of caffeine can speed up bowel movements, so combining them with a heavy scoop of creatine often leads straight to gut distress. Salt can also cause issues. Creatine uses sodium to enter the muscle, and if you mix it with a very salty electrolyte drink, you increase the osmotic pull inside your gut, drawing in more water and making diarrhea more likely. Sugar alcohols are another hidden culprit. Many protein powders and bars use sweeteners like sorbitol or xylitol, and these can cause bloating or loose stools by themselves. Add creatine and the problem gets worse. The safest way is the simplest. Mix your creatine into plain water or add it to a basic protein or carb shake without a lot of extra stimulants, salts, or artificial sweeteners. Keep it clean and your stomach will handle it far better. Alternatives if creatine still doesn't work for you. For most people, adjusting the dose and keeping creatine simple is enough to avoid problems. But there are a few people who still feel uncomfortable no matter what. If that is you, there are other options. One alternative is beta-alanine. Instead of refueling ATP directly like creatine, beta-alanine raises carnosine levels in your muscles. Carnosine buffers acid buildup, which lets you push harder during high-intensity work that lasts from 30 seconds to a few minutes. The effect is not as dramatic as creatine, but it can improve muscular endurance and help you grind out extra reps. Another option is simply making sure your protein intake is on point. Whey protein or even just eating enough whole food. Protein gives your body the building blocks it needs for muscle growth. It will not give the quick energy boost of creatine, but over time it ensures you actually build the muscle your training signals. Caffeine is another tool. A moderate dose before training can improve alertness, power output, and perceived effort. It works completely differently than creatine but can give you that extra edge in performance. There are also supplements like citrulline malate or beetroot juice that focus on blood flow and endurance. They will not mimic creatine, but they can make hard training feel easier. The important thing to understand is that nothing replaces creatine exactly. It is unique in the way it fills your muscles with stored energy. The alternatives each hit a different angle, whether it is buffering fatigue, improving focus, or supporting recovery. If creatine really does not sit well with you, you can still make great progress with consistent training, a solid diet, and a stack of other supplements that cover different pieces of the puzzle. Myth-busting speed round. Creatine has been surrounded by myths for years, most of them passed around gyms like ghost stories. Let's clear them up fast. No, creatine is not a steroid. Steroids are hormones that alter your endocrine system. Creatine is just an amino acid derivative that your body already produces. No, creatine does not destroy your kidneys. Countless studies have shown that in healthy people, long-term use has no negative effect on kidney or liver function. The confusion comes from creatinine, a breakdown product that shows up on blood tests. It is harmless and does not mean damage. No, creatine does not cause hair loss. That rumor started from one small study showing a bump in DHT levels, but it has never been replicated. Male pattern baldness is genetic, not a side effect of creatine. No, creatine does not dehydrate you. If anything, it helps your muscles hold water and stay hydrated. Athletes on creatine have actually reported fewer cramps and fewer heat injuries. And no, creatine is not just for bodybuilders. It benefits sprinters, team sport athletes, women, older adults, and anyone doing high-intensity training. If you have muscles, creatine can help. The bottom line is this: almost every scary story about creatine has been tested and debunked. The only consistent side effect is some initial weight gain from water inside your muscles, and for most people that is exactly what they want. Creatine gives me diarrhea. At least it did until I figured out the truth. The problem was never the creatine itself. It was me taking way too much at once, mixing it with the wrong things, and ignoring how my gut actually works. When you respect the dose, keep it simple, and stay consistent, creatine stops being a bathroom disaster and becomes one of the safest, most effective, and most affordable supplements you can use. It helps you lift heavier, recover faster, build more muscle, and maybe even think more clearly. Yes, it can cause stomach issues if you abuse it. Yes, there are myths that refuse to die. But the science is clear. Creatine works, it is safe, and it belongs in almost every athlete's toolkit. So if you have been scared off because you heard about diarrhea, cramps, or kidney failure, now you know the real story. Respect the 3 to 5 gram serving. Avoid mixing it with problem ingredients, and you will get the benefits without the bathroom emergencies. Creatine gave me diarrhea once, now it gives me personal records. If you found this helpful, hit like, drop a comment with your own creatine story, and subscribe for more straight talk about supplements and training. May your lifts be heavy, your muscles full, and your toilet breaks peaceful.